an amazing organization by the name of Nayestane. It's an organization created to support Afghan girls and young women through innovative educational solutions. And Ms. Dupuy continues her mission to defend Afghan girls and women, especially at a time when their access to education is severely restricted. And we are honored, truly grateful to have her with us in tonight's program. So it will be amazing that first we have some information about you, Ms. Dupuy. Can you please explain and also introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you are currently living, that our participant can get to know you better. After that, we can go through other questions as well.
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm very glad to meet you, all of you. So I am Dominique Dupuy. I am a French woman. I am 73 years old. I started my life as a researcher in social sciences. Then with my husband, we created a consulting firm that was specialized in management. And then when I was 40 years old, began a war very near to France in a country that was called at that time Yugoslavia. I don't know whether you have heard about it, but that war in Yugoslavia is the reason why I left my job and decided to spend my time not working because I was always on a benevolent, but nevertheless working and spending time on specializing on programs for women. So just a few words maybe about that war. It was a civil war. It was like if in Afghanistan, suddenly one of your province started a war against the other one because it was not the same ethnicity or the same religion. And so the Serbs were Orthodox Christians, the Bosniaks were Muslims, and the Croatians were Catholics. And suddenly all of them started fighting with the other on terms of nationalism first. And of course, it became linked to religion afterwards. And so for us Europeans who had been living in peace since the end of World War II, the idea that this country that is so near to us, you know, it's like Pakistan for you, or if you live in the north of Afghanistan, it was just like going to Pakistan. We used to go there for our vacations. It was something very close to us. We couldn't believe that there was going to be a war in that country, and there had been a terrible war with a lot of atrocities. And so there was a group of women in Croatia who tried to call the women in Serbia and said, please, we are all mothers. We are not going to send our kids to fight one against the other, do something. And they were the first called Mothers for Peace. Okay, that was the first appeal that they tried to send to outreach the Serbian mother. It didn't work. The war came, and it was really an atrocity. But then it created other Mother for Peace committees in different countries. There was one in Germany, one in Japan, one in Belgium, and one in France. Okay, and so the one that was in France was linked to the one that was in Belgium because it's also a neighbor of ours. Okay, and decided to help in emergency the camps in Bosnia, okay, because the Serbs were the ones who were attacking, and the Bosniaks were obviously the victims of the war, okay. They were the ones who were being attacked, and they were much less rich, much less powerful because they had no army. So it was very difficult, the situation. So we went there, we organized a lot of emergency programs, sending medicine, sending clothes, sending that kind of thing. But then we discovered that was the most important thing, how could I say? In some way, emergency is something we were too small and too not powerful enough to really do well. But we went to the camps, we met the woman, we met the girl there, and we understood that we could develop small programs that were with our size, with the size of the so small association that we created, okay, and that would help them survive in the camps. And so it was also, of course, right from the beginning, it was about education, and it was about health, of course, care. And this is what we specialized. And then we said, okay, this is not enough, because the end of the war came, okay? And the women that we had met in the camps went back to where they were living. The houses were destroyed. There was no more town. In some places, they had to flee because the Serbs had taken the whole land, so it was impossible to come back. So they had to start a new life in new places that they didn't know. And so we developed what is called empower programs, women's empowering programs. This is what we did, what we started. And so you have to know that in Europe, after the war in Bosnia was in the same former Yugoslavia, a war also in Kosovo. That was another part of ex-Yugoslavia. Okay, so we were there. And then there was a war in Chechnya, then there was a war in Rwanda. It all started there, in fact, when the war, the whole European and African country that used to be at peace started being at war. So we developed countries in all these countries. So this is how it came. And so I was with Mothers for Peace. And in 2002, first 2001, when the first Taliban regime came down, okay, there was a reunion at the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs that reunited all the association and big NGOs that had been talking about Afghanistan before. And we were part of them because we had some Afghan women who were refugees in France, and we had made a lot of conferences on the situation in Afghanistan before the end of the first Taliban regime. And so we were part of that program, and we had an Afghan woman with us who was from Istalef. Istalef is a district in Kabul province, okay? And so she said, I have a land there, a land that is a piece of land that belongs to my family. If you come with me, we can go there and open a house for women. And this is what we did. We got money from the French government. Our sisters from Belgium got money from the Belgian government. Okay, and so together we created this House of Women in Istalef. And this is how it all started. And that's it.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Thank you for clarifying your journey, how you came and how you established this organization. I think I wanted to ask you about what inspired you to help mothers in peace and also children. They are like in conflicted area, but I think you already answered these questions. You said you experienced the same things that we had in Afghanistan before. So let's go to other questions. So as you said, you did a lot of things. You experienced difficult challenges that you had before in your life. So during your years of work in Afghanistan, what experiences had the biggest impact on you personally?
Well, first, something that surprised me enormously. And this is something that helps me to understand the difference between a country that has been at war for years and a country that was not at war. When we arrived in Istalef, we created that house for women, and right from the first year, there were 300 women who would come, okay? And talking with them, I discovered that there was absolutely no sense of any solidarity between them. It was always me first. I don't care for the other one. And, even sometimes it was the mother who didn't care for the child. It was the sister who didn't care for the sister. It were the two children who did not care for the mother. And I was so surprised because, this is something, being at peace, and in a privileged country, we have this culture of feeling, that you must care for the ones that are like you, okay? And then no. And so I talk with them and I said, but how is it? And you say, when your life is in danger, it's you first. If you have time for someone else, maybe you turn to your mother or your sister or your child, but first it's you. Because if you are going to be dead in the next few seconds, then you are not going to help anyone. And I don't know if you have the opportunity to travel by plane, but this is something that now you will see in plane. You have always this security video that they broadcast at the beginning of the flight saying this is the security in the plane. And if something bad happens, a mask with oxygen will fall that you will put on your face first. And you pull it on your face first, and then only you turn to your child or your mom and try to help, okay? And in fact, it's exactly the same thing. But for me, it was a real big cultural shock, and I had to adapt to this. So I would say first experiment, yes. Accept to think differently, accept to even feel differently. This is very important. The second thing maybe was, how could I say, discovering how much Afghan people are committed, and how much when they say we are going to do this, even if it is so difficult and even it sounds impossible, okay? They say, no, we will find a way. Okay, the way that we have thought is not working, we will find another way. And this is also something you find only in people who have lived so difficult situation that they didn't have the choice. So if the way that they have been told doesn't work, well, there is no choice. You have to find the other one, And we, during the 20 years, because you said over 15, but first time I arrived in Afghanistan was 2002, and last time I was there was June 21. So it's almost 20 years. And during those 20 years, I was there every year, not for long, no more than 2 weeks in a row or 3 weeks in a row, no more. But each time, we had decided something. Each time it didn't work out the way we thought it would. And each time we found solution. And when I say we, it was not the French nor the Belgian who found the solution. It was the Afghan people on the field who say, okay, it's not working like this. We will find another way. And they always found another way. So this is maybe most important.
Okay, let's go to other questions. So, as I know that you created one organization by the name of Nayestane to help and support Afghan girls and Afghan women. So, what moment or event motivated you to create this organization after leaving Afghanistan in June 2021? Because when you left Afghanistan, then you created this organization. So, what things motivated you to do this?
Well, through the 20 years I was with Mothers for Peace, I had gained some power in the organization. And so in 2020, of the organization, okay? And so I was in charge of many different programs in Africa, in Asia, in Afghanistan, yes, but so I had to deal with a lot of different things. And I understood, I knew, as soon as I knew that Taliban were coming back, it was obvious, absolutely obvious for the people who knew the country that girls would never go to school anymore. That was just well known. People said, oh, Taliban have changed. I said, no, they haven't changed. They changed the language, they changed maybe the look, but for the rest, Taliban is the Taliban. Okay, that's it. So I had a call. We had all the French organization active in Afghanistan. I was not alone. I had a call with the man who was at that time the ambassador of France in Afghanistan. Okay, and he explained to us. He said, okay, France will not recognize the Taliban regime, which means that France will not spend 1 cent in a development program. We will only send money for humanitarian programs. And humanitarian at the base, which is food, health, refugees. But everything that is dealing with development, it stopped. We are not going to help the Taliban to run the countries. And then, well, you can't imagine how I felt, because I said, but Mr. Ambassador, this means, what am I going to say to all the women I'm working for? What am I going to explain to them, that we're just letting them down? And he said, yes, I'm sorry, Dominique, but that's the way it is. You have to find another way to help them, a way that is coherent with the policy of the French government. And then I have a very, very close friend who is now a French woman, but she's from Afghan origin, okay? And she was the woman, when I was going to Afghanistan, I used to live at her place. I was not in a guest house, I was just in a house in Kalai Fatullah, and that was very nice because it was the usual Afghan life, just like an expat in some fancy place. Anyway, so she is a woman who had created secret school during Taliban 1. So I turned to her and said, please help me. This is the only way I can do something, is to create secret schools. And then I had a fall. That time I was alone with the ambassador. I said, okay, I know education is kind of a development, but then it is also some kind of an emergency, because really, if girls cannot go to school anymore, we are not developing anything that the Taliban could do. We are not helping them to do something. We are doing something that they forbid. So will you help me? And when you ask help, it means money. That's the only thing I needed. Okay, I had the contacts, I had the people I knew, I was able, because I knew quite a lot of people in Afghanistan. So the only thing I was asking for was money, which is, the most difficult to get. And the ambassador said, okay, on this I'm falling. So it is something that I want you to know. It is something that the French government is doing totally underground. So it is not said in the open policy, because no development, so no education. Okay, but in fact, all the money I needed to start that program. So then I made some phone calls. Okay, but as I said, this was something I couldn't do with the other NGO. I had to spend all my time focusing on this. It was too big for me to do while being still the chairwoman of Mothers for Peace. So I quitted Mother for Peace. There was a lot of women who were able to continue without me, and we're still friends, and we talk to each other, of course. And then it is my Afghan friend who found the name Nayestane, because Nayestane is part of a poem that was written by Rumi, and so she said, this is something that you must stick to. And this is it. It's what we do today.
I really your responsibility against Afghan girls and women. Even the French government stopped their helping, but you didn't give up, and you tried a lot to establish this amazing organization to help girls and women in Afghanistan. I really appreciate your work and your responsibility. So as you say that by how hardworking you created this amazing organization. So what is the main mission of this organization, Nayestane, and how is it different from the other organizations working for Afghan girls?
Well, one of the difference, it is not unique at all, but one of the difference is that it's always home-based. We have absolutely no online teaching. Okay, so this allows us to go in places where the internet connection is very poor, and it allows us to open classes, in places where even we have some classes that were opened by women who were working and living in big cities, and when Taliban came back, they lost their jobs, as you know. So they went back to the villages because it was easier for them to live there. Okay, and in some of those places, there never had been any school, neither under the king or the republic or the Soviet or whatever. There had never been any class. And now in some of them, for instance, we have one class in Farah that is like this, another one in Paktia, another one in Host, and they are in very, very, very small villages where there never was schools before. So this is one of our difference. We do not work with internet. We have Afghan women who open a class in their homes. Okay, and this is one of our difference. Another difference we have is that thanks to the money that we are given, everything is absolutely free. So the teacher gets the money. We give some money to the owner of the renter of the house or the apartment. Okay. We pay for all the books, for all the, for everything, in fact. So it's totally free for the students. Okay. And this is very important for us because we want that everyone can go and attend, whatever the family. Okay. So then we also, we are not any foreign courses. We have chosen 7 subjects that were taught in the former courses. Okay, so obviously Dali and Pashto, obviously English. Even I would have loved to teach French, but unfortunately, I think English is much more useful for you. Okay, math, physics, chemistry, and all sciences. Even biology and everything. And we stuck to these 7 subjects, okay? And we follow absolutely the courses that were the one before Taliban came back. So we want that those students, they have as much the formal courses that they can, because in our mind, it's very good, okay, to have the Cambridge courses, Oxford courses, whatever courses. But what about the Afghan people being Afghan and sticking, to the Afghan teacher and their culture? So we also developed some MOOC. You know what MOOC is, And so about geography, the geography of Afghanistan, about history, the history of Afghanistan. Most of Afghan students do not know the history of their country. There have been so many changes of regime. So every regime was rewriting the history of the former and pretending things. So we have a very strict something about subject about history. We do this also about archaeology, because most of the Afghan people have no idea of the treasure that they have in their heritage, So this is it. We really want to maintain it as Afghan style as possible. So this is it. Home-based, following the courses, and free.
It's really amazing. It's I really appreciate your work that you choose the way that they can study offline, because in Afghanistan, especially, most of the people didn't access the internet. We have
Absolutely.
so many problems in internet problems in some area. That's why it's amazing work. And the second point is that you choose Afghan teachers for them, that they don't have language barrier. They can study in their own language, Dari or Pashto, and it's really amazing. Thank you so much. And so let's go to the other question. So as you said, doing all these things has their own challenges, their own problems, and it needs so powerful strength to do all these things for women and girls, especially in area like Afghanistan. So what qualities or strengths do you think help you continue your work despite the difficult circumstances in Afghanistan after 2020?
My job is easy. What is difficult is for those teachers. They are the ones who are taking the risk. The parents, the families, the communities, the teachers, the man who accept that a class is open is his home. They are the one who are showing strength. For me, it's very easy. I'm in my country. I have absolutely no risk. My only issue is to get money and to transfer money. Those are the biggest issues that I have. Okay. In order to work with the teachers, in Paris, we have a small team, 6 people who are salary, okay, of the association, okay. 5 of them are from Afghan origin. So every day they can talk with the teacher in their own language. Usually English is the language, professional language. But sometimes when one is calling and say, well, there is Taliban coming, what should I do? What should I do? Of course, you turn to your own language because you need to go fast. You feel anxious. So it's good that in our team, 5 out of 6 are Afghan. Okay, 2 of them speak Pashto and Dari. Well, all of them speak Pashto, but two of them know how to write it properly, because that's different. Okay, and this is it. So I would say, it's not for the team in France. We do it because we think we must do it. It's obvious. Okay, but I think the strength, the power, the dedication, the commitment, it's all because, I was surprised. We have 13 classes in Kandahar province. And in my mind, Kandahar was so traditional that it was not going to be open to that kind of underground classes. Okay. You don't imagine, we get phone calls. Yeah, I want to open a class. I want to open a class. I was surprised. What does it mean? It means even if you are very conservative, even if you are very traditional, okay, then you can want your girls to be educated. And then I learned something that was so interesting. I learned that the first woman to ever graduate from university in Afghanistan, she was a Kandahari. Okay. And yes, I was surprised because I'm French, I don't know. It's all my Afghan friends who explained this to me. So this is it. Even if you keep a lot to tradition, it is not a problem. You want your girls to be educated. Okay. And so they are the one who have the strength and the power. For me, it's just trying to find the money and trying to find the transfer of the money. That's it.
Good. So, as you know, nowadays all Afghan girls and women, they cannot study, they cannot go to school, university, they cannot work, and this your organization not help all of them, all Afghan girls. Most of them maybe doesn't know anything like about it. So, what is your message that for all those Afghan girls and women who cannot study, who cannot work today, and they are still living in Afghanistan? That's what is your message for all of them?
Don't give up. Don't give up. You are Afghan, you are resilient, you are clever, you are smart, you have lots of ideas. Find a way. And there are so many ways. We have currently 3,000 students, okay? We have currently 190 teachers in 21 provinces, okay? Well, if we get some more money, okay, we can open new classes. That's for sure. Our difficulty comes from the money, not from the logistics. Okay. So if you are an Afghan girl, you can't go to school. Some of you can access internet. Go and use internet as much as you can. Some of you can't access internet. But there are ways. Maybe you know someone from another country. Maybe you have family somewhere in another city that can send to you some PDF that can help you study. Find ways to study. Do not give up, because you will find your own way. You will decide your own way. There are thousands of ways, but do not give up.
Yeah, amazing. So as you like other question, as you have already the experience that you're living in other country, but you'll also help women and girls in the country that you're not near, like Afghanistan or Africa or any other country. So let's come to Afghanistan. So how can Afghan students, especially those studying abroad, contribute to improving the situation of girls' education in Afghanistan? Like I'm living in other country, not in Afghanistan, or maybe other students they are studying abroad or living abroad. As you had already this experience, what is your suggestion how we can help those students?
Yeah, the one who are abroad, you can help by keeping contact, by calling, by explaining the world in which you live, by letting the girls who are stuck in the country know what is the life outside. Because just by chatting, just by chatting with them, okay, you don't need big things or very complicated things. Tell them that what they live is not the normal life, that there is another life outside of the country, and that they must stick to that hope that it will come one day, and then they must be ready for that day. That is very important. If you can, send them PDF, send them books, help them, keep the contact. because most of the girls that I'm speaking with, sometimes they say, I was so depressed. I had the idea that there had been a black curtain that was just in front of my eyes, and I was stuck in that little room, and there was no hope for me. So this is, you can help them by helping for their moral, for that they do not feel in depression. And then there are other ways you can find maybe solutions for them. You can find things that you think, be inventive, be innovative, and try to find things way for them.
Yeah, amazing. So when you said about your organization by the name of Nayestane, and you opened and created this organization in 2021, after 2021. So what about this organization in the future? Will you continue your helping, your classes, courses? What is your long-term vision for this organization and for the future of Afghan girls' education?
Well, my hope is that someday I will say Nayestane is no more needed. So ciao, everyone. It's been a long journey. We love it. Ciao. And I'm coming to Afghanistan to celebrate with you. That's a hope. Okay. A wish, a big wish. Well, I hope it will work someday. But I'm sure that when that day comes, the girls that we have been lucky to have as students, they will be ready. They will be ready to take all the responsibilities and power they can in the reconstruction of the country. That's for sure. But then if it doesn't work, or I'm fairly old now, so I don't know how long I'm going to survive. So maybe the long term for me is not that much longer. Okay, so well, I think we are now developing in Nayestane. Okay, that's not long term; it's middle term. Okay, we are developing professional perspectives for the women, for the girls in Afghanistan, because they go to schools. Okay, they start 7th, 10th grade. As you know, most of the time this is when they get married. Okay, and as you know, when they get married, they can bring a revenue to the family that they are joining. Now they are most welcome. This has been a major change in the country. So we are developing some skills that they can use to develop a small business in their homes, in the home of their new family. Okay, and well, it's really something that we are starting. So I will be able to say more maybe next year. Okay, but this is what we are developing. And for the ones who are going to finish, we have 48 of them who are ending 12th grade in January. Okay, we are trying to organize kind of a concours, not a real concours, of course, but kind of, just that they can feel that they have really accomplished something. Okay, and we are also trying to find ways for them to develop maybe some other kind of jobs, some of kind of businesses. Well, there is a solution for everyone, even if they do just what their mother did, just like, I don't know, beekeeping or taking, developing some jam business, whatever, since they have been to school with us, okay, they will do it differently from their mothers. No, it's not everyone that is becoming a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, okay? But there is a future based on knowledge. And this is the future we want to help them develop. And some of the women I used to work with before the return of the Taliban, okay, would tell me, we were having some beekeeping program, and one told me, now I bring some revenue to my family. This has changed totally my place in the family. First, I'm not beaten so often. And when you hear this, it just makes you crazy. But yeah, and one of them told me, and thanks to what I'm doing now, my husband has accepted that our girl is going to go to a school. Okay, so it's small changes. It's not a big revolution, but you become knowledgeable. You use it with what you have around you. You only have bees. Well, just do beekeeping. You have, you need to sow. So do what you can do, but do something. And this will change your life on a daily basis. This I'm sure.
Thank you. It's really hopeful vision, and I really appreciate your work. I hope all Afghan girls and women can understand the importance and the value of this organization and your work. I hope so. So, as you said, since 2002 till now, you did a lot of humanitarian work. You experienced working with all women, children, girls, especially in Afghanistan. So, what is your advice if looking back to your journey? What is your advice for all those young Afghan girls or women or Afghan people who want to do like you humanitarian work, but they don't know from where they have to start?
Okay, well, if you live outside of Afghanistan, there are a lot of masters, international development, that kind of thing. This is very good because you learn how to use tools. You learn how to make a budget. You learn how to develop a business plan for a program. But those are only tools, okay? Only tools. Those tools you can get even if you don't go to university, okay? Because the tools are on the internet. You can find them, you can download them, you can, But what for me makes the difference between one who works well and one who does not work well in the humanitarian field is that you have to consider that it is a job. You must not become emotional about it. You must not think with your heart. You must work. It's a job. It's a real job. Okay? And so you have to be professional from the beginning. What do I mean when I say you have to be professional? You have to stick to the mission. Okay? Each time you have some decision to make, okay, the only question you have to ask yourself is, how does this fit with my mission? I'm going to give you an example, okay? Our mission is to develop underground classes for girls in Afghanistan, okay? We have to buy some materials, books, copybooks, stuff. Okay, what do? Something that is very easy for us is to find someone and to make a deal and tell that person who is a big producer in Afghanistan, a big salesman in Afghanistan, do that, and we buy with you. You could make a good price for us, but you are able to distribute in whole the country. Okay, that is easy for us. Easy. Okay, but then what happens? A lot of issues on the field. It's difficult for the teachers to have access to the stores. It's difficult for the teachers to get what they want. And I said, stop, we are not going to work like this. What is our job? Our job is to stick to the need of the pupils, and the needs of the pupils are the needs of the teachers. So we don't work because we have this easy bureaucratic, fairly manageable way. We change, okay? Sometimes we have to make decisions about closing some classes for security issues, okay? So sometimes we just close for 1-2 weeks, and then when the situation goes back to normal, we open again, okay? What do? We want to help the kids to get, so now we are developing our contents on some flash drives and some SSD cards, okay? And this doesn't need any internet. So what do? We are going to send this to the girls. It could be easy for us to have, there is a lot of money in Europe, and I'm sure it's the same outside, giving money to develop online class, okay? I refuse. We must find ways to access the students where they are. And most of them, 80% of them, are in places where there is no good internet, or if there is internet, there is no electricity. So no internet, nevertheless. So this is it. What is the mission? Stick to the mission. Don't focus so much on the tools. A tool is just what you do with it. It's not a goal. It's not an aim. A tool is something that you are going to use.
Okay, I think we have only 10 minutes more because our link has limitation only for 1 hour. Our time remains only for 12 minutes. I think our participant has some questions now. It's better that we can take some questions from them. And so I think I'm going to see who has questions. There is someone by the name of Nargis.
Mhm.
Nargis, can you hear me? You have any question? You can turn on your microphone and ask your question if you have.
Hello and good time, everyone. Hope you do well and safe and sound. And welcome, Ms. Dupuy here. So I do have a question about your organization, Nayestane, and I'm asking this question as you said that you have this program or this organization in 22 provinces of Afghanistan. And what about Bamyan? I'm living in Bamyan, and it's the first time that I hear about this organization, and
Of
I'm
course.
really
Well, you know, of course,
enthusiastic to join this program too.
yeah, excuse me, but of course, no one hears about it. You know, it's underground. Just for security reason, we do not speak about what we do, you know. So yes, we do have classes in Bamiyan. By the way, we have 12 classes in Bamiyan province, some in the district, Waras district, some in Bamiyan city. But, you know, no one is supposed to know about it. It's secret. It has to be secret for security reasons.
Okay, so
So
as I said, I'm enthusiastic to join this program. And how can I join here? And one more question I do have is, in this program, are we going to study this school? And if you're studying this school, are we gonna get a diploma or not?
Excuse me, I didn't understand the last question.
she was
I
asking. Okay. Repeat your question, please.
Okay, so my question is this: the classes that you offer, as you said, you're teaching about 7 subjects that we study in school. So we're studying them, and is that the school? Are we going to get the diploma at the end or not?
Okay.
After we
All right.
finish the classes.
Okay, I understand. So, first, regarding joining the organization, that is very difficult. We are not in a position to open new class now because of budgetary issues, okay? So we just stick with the class that we do have. If you want to join as a student, which is always possible, then we need to know what is your age, we need to know what is your grade. We only teach 7th to 12th grade, and that is all. But this is same, for instance, we have new students that are, you know, returnees, people who were sent back from Pakistan and they used to go to school in Pakistan and now they have no more school. So we try to see, we have a map of our different classes and we try to match and see, but this is it. But as joining as a teacher, for the moment, we are not in a position, unfortunately, to open new class. Now, regarding
No, as a student, I do want.
Oh, you say as a student. Well, as a student, what I suggest, I'm going to share here or maybe dear Masuda, maybe you can share my contact info, okay, and just send me messages, and we will see what's possible, okay.
At the end of this meeting, I will share with you in the group that we have in morning in the WhatsApp group of morning team. I will share the contact of Ms. Dupuy. You can contact with her, okay? So let's take other question. I think a lot of people have some questions. There is someone by the name of Freba. Freba, you have question?
Hi, can you
Hi.
hear me?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
I have a question from Ms. Dominique that about last month, 1 month ago, I won a scholarship in Malaysia, and now I have a problem about traveling to the Malaysia. As you know, the prices of visa in Pakistan is very high. Can you help us to go in another country?
No, unfortunately, you know, I won't be able to help anyone because the money I have is only given to run classes, and I have a moral obligation to work only by this. So unfortunately, Nayestane is not at all able to help individual. I understand the need to get out of the country, of course, but unfortunately, we can't do anything.
Okay,
I'm
thank
sorry.
you. There is someone, I don't know, its name is anyone. You have any question?
Hello. Thank you so
Hello.
much from Mr. Dupuy and Mr. Ram. So my question is, I am a blind girl from the blind school, and I'm grade 11. I was grade 11. Do you share us with any opportunity or position you have? What is your for us, for blind girls? In Afghanistan, there is about 4 years that we deprived of education, formal education, and there is no to do. If I listened to the idea of that you can continue your education through online or through reading some title, but I think it's not useful because we want to develop our level. If we just learning, there is no way. Everyone do not give us an opportunity or a scholarship just because we are a school student, and I don't know what should we do. I am a blind girl and I don't have any way to do. And can you give us any idea? What is your idea? And is there any opportunities for especially blind girls? And I really need your idea, especially for a school student.
Okay, well, I'm so sorry because your question is an obvious question, but unfortunately I have no answer for you. But I like to keep in touch with you because I have no idea for the moment. I'm very sorry, but your question is a very valuable question, and I think this is maybe something we might think of. So let's keep in touch. I'm not saying I'll be able to do anything, but it's a serious issue that we are going to consider if there is a possibility. But I don't know for the moment. But let's see. Let's keep in touch.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. There is someone by the name.
Can you give us your contact number, please?
I will share in the group. I will share in group after our meeting finished. Okay, don't worry. So there is someone else by the name of Tabassum Sultani. You have any question?
Yeah, hello everyone. Wish you all be healthy. Thank you, Ms. Dominique. And my question was that can you tell me until which and what age we can study here and join in the Nayestane?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
I think her question was about age limitation. Till which age they can study here in your organization?
We do not care about the age. Okay. What is important is that the person has finished 6th grade. Okay, and wants to start something. So we have some students just start at 7th grade, some other at 9th grade. Well, we do not go by the age. We just make sure that they are at the level of the grade that they want to join. For instance, we have some 10th grade classes where there are people who are 15, but some are 21.
Okay, there is no limitation of age. I think you got the answer. There is someone else by the name of Banin. You have any question? We have only 3 minutes. Banin, you have any question?
Hello to everyone. It's a pleasure to me to be here with you. I have one question from Mrs. Dominica. Are you support the students who are graduated from school? If your organization support these students?
Okay, you finish your school, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what do you mean exactly?
She said she finished her school. Is there any opportunity to join to your organization, like any project, internship, fellowship, this kind of opportunity? Can you provide? Or
well, as I said, for the moment, we're not opening any new school, but if you finish high school, yes, we're always, what you can do is send me a resume or a CV, okay? I'm not saying anything because I can't promise anything, but we have some knowledge of people with whom we keep in touch, and if any opportunity just raise it, then we get in touch and we make a follow-up.
I will share your contact with them in our group. They can contact with you.
Yes, it's the
And I
best.
think our time already finished. We have only 1 minute. And thank you so much for your valuable time that
Thank you so much for
you
this.
was with us in tonight's meeting. It was really amazing. We learned a lot of things. I hope this will be useful for all our participants. So our meeting here finished. Thank you so much again for your time, for joining with us in tonight's meeting. Thank you so much.
And goodbye. And I wish you
Okay,
the best.
goodbye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.